Guys, thank you for tuning in. We have Dennis here, partner, state certified appraiser, leader here in Kendall. You're gonna be seeing a screen now, and let him take over now. All right, go ahead. Man. Start from the. Start muffin. That was his stud muffin oh, you put stud and stud muffin. Guys, thanks for everybody tuning in. So first thing I want to go over, there's many things that affect value, and it's not just, you can't just do a mile radius sometimes. Some neighborhoods you do get lucky and you can pull that off, but right now I have on the screen, and what I was going at was, I printed out a list of municipality codes. You can Google it, Miami-Dade municipality codes, and it will pop up. There's 36 right now. So easiest way to understand it, there are cities within Miami-Dade County. In the beginning, everything was unincorporated Miami. Okay, so imagine before they did anything, everything's unincorporated Miami. They started incorporating cities: Miami Beach, City of Miami, I believe the oldest one, Coral Gables, Hialeah, and they have their own police department. Everything, fire station. Taxes are different. City ordinances are different. So obviously price fluctuates. Um, Sometimes maybe value doesn't change that much from one city to another, but most of the time it does. And when you're at a listing appointment, it could make the difference between even a price going from 400 to 700. A good example of that is Miami Springs. The price may not jump that much, but if you're in this city, the easiest way to do a search is in the MLS. You put in the municipality code, which what is it for Miami Springs? You see there, 5. Number 5. When you do your search, you put number 5, and it'll throw you all the comps in Miami Springs only. So it's an easier, quicker way to search. And instead of doing a mile radius, where you do a mile radius from this corner right here, you're gonna get comps in Hialeah. You're gonna get comps in other cities that aren't good comps. Waste of time. I try to start um, and I try to do the search and simplify it and start small. And I hate looking at like 50 comps. I like to simplify it. That's why I put, the guidelines to try to limit it, the criteria, square footage, and all that. So if you Google, for example, I think you guys should Google probably all of these are the ones that you work the most, so you can be familiar with it, or at least before a listing appointment. Um, See like Coral Gables, and look at the boundaries of Coral Gables. So a lot of people don't even know that. It goes all the way on the other side of US 1, all the way south to the county reserve. Um, and another big one is like, look at this little corner right here, where this is Coral Gables. Imagine you have a house right here on this corner, and it's not Coral Gables. You value it based on those comps. You're selling your client short because their property is worth more just because it's in the municipality. And the way you know for sure if a house is in that municipality is not by the mailing address, not by what they show you at the postal office. It's by looking at the first 2 numbers of the folio. First 2 numbers of the folio is 100%. Nobody can tell you anything. Um, Another good example of one is Miami Shores. This one I saw it big time appraisers getting in trouble if they were, not knowledgeable. Prices during the crash, everything, out of state lenders were letting appraisers use comps that were out, they were near Miami Shores and they were using comps in Miami Shores. Investors bought properties thinking they could use the, comps from Miami Shores, and the price was literally $300,000-$400,000 from one block to another. So this is why, because you don't want to mislead anybody, and this happens a lot. You think it'd be like, you know, defined by a boundary like I-95, where if you look at Miami Shores, all this right here is not Miami Shores. If you do your comp search, the prices there will drop easily for $250,000 from one avenue to another. And it's good to search it because Google's very good at updating it. And if you look at this, look, it doesn't even like Second Ave is here, and then here it becomes Northeast Second Court. So doing this and using the municipalities when you do your search, you can still do a mile radius when you do your search. But if you put the municipality code, it's gonna block out all those other codes. So you don't even have to worry about it. Okay. Um, and I'll do a search really quick on the MLS. Do any of you guys have a property right now in any municipalities that you see here? I have one in Acton, it is okay. Okay. And it's in Miami Springs. Yeah. So what's the? Hold on, give me one second. So I'm gonna go to the MLS. I'm in the MLS. All I did was go to search. I use the MLS for comps. I could do another training. Sometimes I'll do Zillow if it's for a client and if I'm at their house to like show them because they're familiar with Zillow. Um, and like Miguel uses RPR and things like that, which we've already talked about. They're all good. I like using the MLS because usually it has the most updated info, and I could call the realtors, find out all the information. So public record versus yeah, so they have Miami-Dade.gov sales that's the thing. Why I try to avoid it. I use the MLS or even Zillow because you want to see the houses, you want to see the condition, and seeing one thing on paper and seeing it, actual photos and things like that. Even through the MLS, there's certain things that you can't tell. You can't tell closets, you can't tell floor plan. There's things that affect value that you can't really notice. So that's why I try to stick within, in the beginning I try to stick within the same project, the same subdivision, because usually it's the same builder, same design. If they did the closets, if that was something important, they did the closets. Um, so right here, I'm gonna put 6 months, and it's a single family, right? Single family, a year. I don't know anything about the property yet, but I just want to show you one thing. So I'm gonna go to map, and here I'm gonna put the address. What's the address? So here it pops it up, right? So his property is right there at the edge. So here easily you can do a municipality search. If you do a mile, see like the draw a radius right here, you click on this, it'll do a radius. We'll do mile. His property doesn't see like there's really not much around it. But if he was on this side, let's say his property is over here on this side, and I did a radius, you have 52 results, and all these properties right here are in Hialeah, which are not good sales, right? So how do we filter it? We go to the criteria and what's the municipality code? So we put it here, 5 results, and it filtered it to 34. And if you look at the map, it blocked out all those sales. So there's no point in looking through all those sales. You could get confused. You could, overlook something and forget that it's in that city, and just pull up comps that are really they're not a factor. In rare cases, would you jump municipalities, and it's really only when you would have to have no sales in your city or in your area within a mile. If that's the case, that's something different. But in this case, you have 34 sales. Why would you have to go to Hialeah? doesn't make sense, you know? Anybody else have any other property? Where at? Years? 12731. Mm-hmm. 49. Yeah, so this is unincorporated Miami, this house. So the first two numbers of the folio are 30. So here you're good in the sense of that you don't have any, you're not in the edge of any cities or anything like that. So here, what I would do is when I did the search, I would start by the subdivision. What's the name of the subdivision next? Deerwood. Deerwood, yeah. So I would do it by subdivision, and we can go into that in a few. But really, I just want you guys to, understand the municipality, understand the city. There was one listing that Manny was trying to get, and the guy was telling him it was in a certain city. That's why I was worth 520,000 and this and that. And he brought it in. He's like, well, I looked at some comps, possibly. And then once we did the municipality and we looked at the city, I told him the house matched, and in the condition it's in, it's probably worth like 330, 340. He was like, oh, the guy said he has a contract. I go, he's bluffing, or if he does, tell him to sell it because somebody, like, is misinformed. That he had a cash offer. I think it was a bluff, but guy ended up selling it. He didn't list it with us. He ended up selling it like a year and a half later for like 320, something around it, And that one was another. That was in. He was saying it was in Shenley Park, and it wasn't. It was near. It was like a block away. And the price made up like $100,000 difference. Um, so the next thing I want to look at is the condition ratings of the properties. That's, you guys have that sheet, right? If everybody's, for the people who want to find it online, you would go to, I'll cast it right here. You can find it by putting, these are the appraiser guidelines. UAD Appendix D, which is Uniform Appraisal uh, Directive, Uniform Appraiser Data Set. So you go there, and this pretty much gives you information on what appraisers, how they fill out the form. So the appraiser can't just put on a property anymore because it costs too many conflicts between one appraisal and another, and owners complaining. Before they used to put in the condition. They have a grid and they got to put the condition of the property. They used to put, they were open to fill it in however they wanted to. Some guys would put average, average updated, remodeled, average remodeled, remodeled minus, remodeled plus. So it became like a disaster to review files because it became a kind of opinionated what was average, updated plus, and minus, and it was kind of all over the place. So they did a standard, and they defined it, and they even defined what is considered a updated property, what's the definition of remodeled. So if you guys Google UAD Appendix D and you go to page, I believe it's 36 on here. 39, page 39, it gives you the condition ratings that an appraiser is going to use in a report. So whatever property you're buying, you're selling, you're trying to list, you're trying to acquire, is going to have if and when it gets an appraisal, the appraiser is going to select one of these condition ratings. So why is this important for you to know? Because some of them are very borderline, and I've seen it where um, you know, because the realtor's not experienced or the appraiser's not experienced, he won't risk it and put it a condition rating that he doesn't have to, or to make his job easier. It's not the way it should be, but I've seen it happen. So you guys should study these so that way, and we'll find some as an, we'll look at some properties to like get an example of what the ratings are. Um, but really to know when you, so that when you list a property, or if you're the buyer's agent, you know what your condition rating, what it falls in, and you could talk to them and speak their language. That way they know you're informed, and you can, it could literally make or break your deal. So the first one, there's 6 ratings, 6-1 through C1 through C6. The first and the last are probably the easiest. C1 is going to be a house. The only way it could be a C1 rating, which is condition 1, is if it's a brand new construction, never occupied. So that's simple. Has to be new construction, no questions asked, never occupied. It can't be a property that's been completely gutted, or no, it has to be never previously occupied. Even a new construction, if they use it as a model home, is not even considered. Okay, so everything in the property new. And then the last one is C6, which is a house that's uninhabitable, completely, destroyed. Everything's past its existing life, or holes in the roof, leaks, that sort of thing. C2 is the one that you guys should really know, especially if you're working with people that rehab properties, that fix and flip, because this one is a rating that a lot of appraisers don't like to use on an older home. But if you have a 1950s home and it's completely remodeled, and they did everything brand new, then it should be rated C2. A lot of appraisers get away with putting C3 because the realtors are not aware of this, or just, and they get away with it, and they want to play it safe, because on an appraiser's end, it's a red flag, because C2 rating could be either a property that's older and completely remodeled, or a house that's been, 3, 4, 5 years old. So if it's a house that's 2, 3, 4, 5 years old, they're gonna put a C2. But if it's, because it's like new. But if you have a house that was completely gutted, remodeled, everything new except maybe this one can only apply if it has everything new except for maybe one thing. So if they did, it's an older home and they did everything except the windows, let's say, then, or yeah, literally one thing, then it'll fall in this category. So that's why it's good to know. That's why it, you have to, because the appraiser sometimes will be like, oh, the roof was old, and the electrical or plumbing, that's old too, so it doesn't qualify. So if you do have renovations to the electrical, plumbing, roof, window, all those things, you got to tell them. And if you tell them, hey, look, this property is a C2 condition, it could literally make or break, because we'll jump to the next one now, which is C3. C3 is like, C3 and C4 are the most common. C3 is a house that has been updated, but not to the level of a complete rehab, which is pretty common. And the report asks for, specifically, the reports ask for kitchen and bathroom updates. So if anybody asks you what brings you the most value to a property, kitchen, bathroom. Because then that will, it's hard to put C4 for a property if you put in the report, because you have to put if that was remodeled or not. Kitchen and bathroom updated, how you gonna put it as a C4, which is, well maintained or not updated. So sometimes there's a very thin line for appraisers, and they like to play it safe, and they don't like putting the C4. But if your house qualifies, and it will bring you that extra value, that 5, 10, 15, 20, depending on the value of the home, that could break a deal, and save you. And then C4 is a house adequately maintained, maybe no updates within, or some updates, like the house is good, livable, but no recent updates, probably not within the 20, the last over 15, 20 years, no updates, no older kitchen, not original. Let's say it's a 1950s house, but it's not original condition, but it was updated 18 years ago. Bathrooms were updated 18 years ago. Then this is more of like a C4, adequately maintained, because it's had updates done throughout the years, but nothing, not recent updates. And then C5 is probably very similar to like an estate home, deferred maintenance. Um, may still be livable, but those houses that you know that the kitchen, the bathrooms, AC, roof have already met or exceeded their life expectancy. They're like right there, where you're already like, I got, this all has to be updated. Um, could be somebody living in the property, whereas C6 is probably, substantial damage, deferred maintenance, uh, defects that affect the livability of the house. So if, for example, let's say the house is okay, but it has a hole in the roof, rain, it's raining, it's coming in, or a tree falls on the house because of a hurricane. The rest of the house is okay, but now you have that area that's damaged, then that would also be C6 because it affects the safety, soundness, and it's not financeable. It's not, they can't even occupy. So these, read them over. There's also another one on page 41. If you look at that, that shows not updated. Just to further explain, I didn't print that one out, sorry. But but here I'll show you not updated, and it gives you an idea. You could read it over just to further define. Updated, in case this is good to take if somebody argues, oh, my house was updated. Look, it's not me. Based on an appraiser's guidelines and what he's gonna come out and look at. This is what an updated house is. This is what a remodeled house is. But sometimes people, they're passionate about their property, they love their home, and they updates 20, 25 years ago. Now it's more like a C4, it's been adequately maintained. And they're gonna go, no, but I did the kitchen 25 years ago and it cost me 30 grand. So this is why it's good to, you can look these over. I'll print a few out here for you guys as well. And then now what I'll do is I'm gonna hop back to the MLS. Any questions about any of that? No question? All right. Anybody got any property they want me to do a little CMA on or anything? We can use as an example for the last part. You got, oh, I do. I gotta get to you. Oh man, but you're gonna give me a bomb. Nah, Booski. We gotta sit down after, man. This is live. We can't. Yeah. Booski, man, your properties are yours are a whole other thing. That's a one. That's a one-on-one. I'll do yours after. I promise. What? The folio? I gotta compare. I gotta do a house really quick so we can look at condition. I'll do a lot after the house. House. No, square footage. So you're gonna look at and you're gonna look. So yeah, hers. Booski only comes to me when she's got like the tough. So hers is different. Hers, if you have a lot, square footage. Of course, you have lots that, like your case. What is your stuff? Well, I have three separate lots. Two are in Marathon. One's in Marathon. One has a permit. One doesn't. Because it's in the keys. It's obviously you have a building permit. Yeah, and then I have another one here in Homestead that doesn't. That it's just a lot, but it has water and electricity, so it's a little bit higher in value versus the ones that have nothing. Yeah. If it has access, yeah. So like in the Redlands, it does ask you like if you're in the Redlands, an appraiser looks at dirt road, if it's paved asphalt. There's little things like that, but in general, for obviously building plans too. Building plans can cost you 10, 15,000, 5,000, depending on the builder, but that makes a difference as well. But typically it's square footage, and now we actually do have like in '05 it was like there was no land sales, so it was a nightmare. We had to do the extraction method. Like basically a house, deduct the depreciated value of the property, and then what's left is the land. Like in simple terms, but it's a lot of it's a lot harder. Now we actually have land sales. So if you do a search, you typically find a few land sales in the area. And most of the time, when you get a property for its assessed value, you usually rule of thumb is you got a great deal. Um, but on lots, the land value has been pretty accurate for Miami Dade. So maybe worth a little bit more, but in most cases, it's been right on the money. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've checked it like on all the recent appraisals I reviewed, and the county usually has it on the money. I don't know about Monroe, but Dade has had it. You did the appraisal? Still waiting or what? Disclose that number later. So yeah, so on land, the square footage, and also the city, and you have to look at a lot of zoning. You know, city of Miami changed their zonings, and a lot of it is acres per unit and things like that, and um, that makes a big difference. So you have to learn to read the zonings in those cities. Um, Property or a single family. Who has one that wants to? You want to use yours?
Sure. I have one that it's not moving. I don't know if I think it's a little overpriced.
Okay.
Slightly.
What's the address? It's listed right now.
Yeah. It's on the focus.
What's the address?
23301 South One. One. Yeah, one.
This one. All right, Silver Palms West. So this house is built 2016. And what condition off the back would you say this is in?
I would definitely say that this is they're offering by like $5,000.
Oh my God.
$5,000 realty bond. Or to you can give it to the buyer.
Uski, you my favorite. Email this to me. Like scan it there to my email. Deep Bernal Homes. That's all. Let's do a quick. While she prints that, so if you, I'm gonna go over because I want to see the printout. Is there an association there? So that's a PUD, a planned unit development. When you're in a condo, when you're in a townhouse, the sales within there are the most important. So it shouldn't be. Usually, it's not a hard property to value. Usually, people make it hard because they don't like the value in the neighborhood, and they go outside and they start looking outside. But if you have sales within your neighborhood, you're usually good. If you go outside, it has to be for a purpose. What's this neighborhood called?
Silver Palm.
Silver Palms. So if you're in Silver Palms, you usually have sales in there. You're gonna stick with the only reason you would go outside for sales is if there's nothing recent. FHA it requires you to have two sales within 90 days. So if you don't have two sales within 90 days, then you may have to go outside a nearby competing neighborhood to find something that's sold recently because that's an FHA guideline. An appraiser, there's no way to go around it. They want two closed sales within 90 days. Um, and then other reasons to go outside is if your property's on a lake, you're remodeled, you're even or on a busy street, or you have a pool and none of your comps within your subdivision have those features, then obviously you're not going to use three sales that are inferior or superior. You're going to go outside to get find something similar to be able to bracket that line item. So I'm going to log in really quick. Everybody online can view this. I have to cast it, right, George?
You're casting. No, no, no. It's anything that's in that browser.
Anything right here? But just so everybody can see what I'm going to show you guys. Before we get into that, I was going to jump the gun there really quick. Not showing. I want to go over the properties. So this is a few guidelines that will help you simplify it in a way. So if you have a single family, typical home, no association fees, no, it's not in a planned unit development, not a condo, regular single family, let's say located in Westchester. You're gonna, if it's called Heffler Homes, in the legal description, you see the subdivision. You could do a search, and in the legal, I would put contains Heffler Homes, and I would start in the subdivision first because of what I had told you. It's gonna be easier because you're gonna have all the sales that are the same age, same builder, same quality of construction, um, and then you're gonna look at closed and active in it to see what if you're gonna list it to see what you're competing. You want to be um, typically sales to list price ratio is about 2 to 3% right now. So if you look at what's active and you see sales that are 340, you want to price it either right there or right under them, and look at the comps to see actually what you're worth. So I look at the combination. I see if it's worth, let's say 320, um, I'll price it 2 3% a little bit higher to be competitive to get calls and move it, in a timely manner. And I look at the active now. Okay, I'm gonna say 320. I can list it at 325, 330. Be firm with my price. Um, and I look at what's active, if because I want to be the best property out there. If you see properties now at 340, 350, you know you're gonna be the most adequately priced property, and you're gonna the property's gonna show more. It's gonna get more activity. It's gonna get more showings, and you can start a bidding war. If you stay within the subdivision, they're all gonna be similar age, probably similar lot size, but you want to limit the criteria to 25%. No purpose in you looking at sales that are 2,000 square feet if your house is 800 square feet. It's a different market. You guys know that you don't have a buyer saying I want a 2-1 or I'll take a 4-3. They usually either want one or the other or can afford one or the other. So you want to limit that to also limit the amount of sales and to stay competent within the sales within. Um, you do everything the same for a single family with a PUD in a planned unit development, meaning anybody can tell me an example of one or a house that's a PUD, planned unit development. Planned unit development is you can identify one by if it has HOA fees, gated community amenities, lakes by the bay. Exactly. Like anything, if you see speed bumps as like a key to, but if the owner tells you, yeah, I have a monthly association fee, we have amenities, then that's so right there, lakes of the meadow, you're gonna look for sales in lakes of the meadow before you go anywhere else outside. So so you look in there, limit the criteria, everything the same, but also most of the best indicators are going to be there, or Bonita Lakes, or wherever you are. You're nearby. Where was your property? In Deerwood. That one has HOA. That one does. Yeah. Yeah. So a single family does it. Yeah. And even look, even there, I think that those houses, for example, this is why you can't ignore every sale in your neighborhood and always put most weight on the sales within because there's things that sometimes as a realtor you don't see. So like that happens in Country Walk, that happens there. Those houses are 2 story, and I've seen them, and I think that those are first floor CBS, and the second floor was built with frame. So that happens in Color Bay too in some areas. So now the building code doesn't allow that, I believe. So insurance is a little bit higher on those properties. So if so, what happens with prices? Somebody knows that prices are going to be higher in another neighborhood, even nearby. So that's a safe way, even if you don't know that, you can get lucky by staying in your subdivision or your PUD. And then townhouse lot and block and townhouse condo. Um, I know you know the difference. We've talked about it a bunch of times, but everybody here know the difference or no? Lot and block, what's the difference?
Everyone,
No, they all got folios.
You're buying the land that it's sitting
Yeah. So, but how do you identify like the difference?
It's like a condo.
You legal description, lot size. Lot size says 0, then you're a condo. Um, and if you do the aerial like on Miami-Dade, it usually pops up the whole project like a condo. When it's a line block, pops up the individual lot. And that's important too because we all know that it's different to finance one from the other. Um, and you know different you have a different buyer as well, and that does affect value. So when you're looking at comps, you want to make sure that you have you compare and they'll pop up on the MLS because the MLS has condo, townhouse, so they'll all pop up. So you got to be able to check it. Okay, and I'll do one just to show the people online an easier way to look at it. Anybody have a townhouse, or you want me to pick one? Okay, what's the address? You got B, Belly. That's because she's sick. She can't talk. 5993 Southwest 69th Street. Right. Oh yeah. Right away it pops up like this. Lee Park condo. So obviously the giveaway. These are townhouses or no? It's not, yeah, because South Miami has, yeah. So, but that's also like Miami is difficult because you have different pockets. So yes, obviously you have to know your area, like Coconut Grove. Coconut Grove has a better, it has North Grove, South Grove. You have the townhouse area. You have that, one part like was divided by like McDonald Street. That one side is like more built up, older townhouses. The other prices drop. Now it's kind of all coming together. But you do have pockets in Miami, and that's why it's good. You just have to study the market. Um, and here, you would do the municipality, but you would stay as close as possible to there. And yeah, like these houses here, I've done, you know, these have already been remodeled, but the prices are obviously a little bit lower because you're closer to a part that is not as desirable. Um, so condo, you're gonna look. Obviously, it popped up like a whole project, so that's obviously a giveaway. If you were to go to, I don't know if there's any townhouses around here, but I'll use another one as an example. And the lot size, just quick reference. See, lot size is gonna say here 0. The lot size 0, legal description says condo, and it pops up like this, then you already know your condo. And a townhouse condo versus land block will look the same. They both sometimes have a yard, and they actually own, have a right to use the yard. It's just recorded differently. It's just the way because of the zoning. So now this, for example, is a townhouse lot and block. You own it just like a house. The HOA doesn't include typically the roof. You still have to verify that because there are some occasions where it does, like in this neighborhood it does, but most times condo you own the airspace, walls within. The lot and block, you actually own the roof, you own the yard. So like this one has a lot size 1,274, and the legal description will actually say lot 4, block 26, because you own that specific lot. So those are things that affect value. And then condos, I'll go back to the other sheet. And then condos, if you're in Sunny Isles, if you're in Miami Beach, a really good quick thing to use is when you do the MLS, you can actually go to My Condo Plans, It's a tab right there on the MLS. I'll show you guys right now. And I'll do it. What's the municipality to Sunny House? Or Miami Beach, whichever. Something that's like condo market, so I can pull up a condo market. Anybody got one? Oh, two? Okay. I'm gonna go to, I'm gonna cast to the MLS.